Okay, so let's have a look at the Junior Certificate Higher Level Maths Paper 1 for 2019, questions 13 and 14. Okay, so Frida is starting an exercise program. She wants to increase her power output P. One formula is this one here. P is equal to 36W plus 62H plus 1800, where W is Frida's weight in kilograms and H is the height in meters she can jump. Work out the value of P when W is 70 kilograms and H is 0.65 meters. So this is really just a case of writing down the formula. So P is equal to 36W plus 62H plus 1800, and all you've got to do really here is just substitute in these two numbers. Just check the units as well when you're doing these type of questions, and we have the right units here. So we have kilograms and meters. So it's 36 times W, which is 70, and then we've got 62 times 0.65 plus 1800 here. So when you do that, you get 2520 here. Oops, let me write that properly. 2520. 62 times 0.65 is 40.3, and then we've got 1800 here. Add up these three and you get 4360.3. So that's the value of P. Okay, 1 week later, Frida's power output is increased by 8. So our new power output is going to be 4368.3. Just adding 8 to this here. Her weight has not changed, so that's going to be equal to 36 times 70 still. Her weight hasn't changed. And we've got to work out the value for H here. So it's going to be 62H plus 1800. So this is our formula here. Now we've just got to isolate H. So we've got 4368.3 is equal to 2520 here plus 62H plus 1800. So you get 4368.3 is equal to, add these two here, and you get 4320 plus 62H, and bring this over here, subtract 4320 from both sides, and you get 48.3 is equal to 62H, and then finally you've got H is equal to, divide across here by 62, and you get 0.78 meters, and that's to 2 decimal places. And that's it for part B. So part C here, so the graph below shows the value of P for different heights when W is 70. So we've got a straight line graph here, a linear graph. This graph cuts the y-axis at P is equal to 4320, so we can see that here. Draw a graph to show the values of P for different heights when W is equal to 80 kilograms using the same axis scales and domain. State on the diagram the value of P when your graph cuts the y-axis. Note the axis with P does not start at 0 here. Well, let's just have a look at this line here first. Remember we started with P is equal to 36W plus 62H plus 1800, and remember here we have W is equal to 70, so 70 times 36, so you've got 36 and you've got a 70 here plus 62H. Now if you multiply 36 by 70, and you have the 1800 here of course as well, multiply 36 by 70, add the 1800, you'll get 4320. So we'll end up with 62H plus 4320. So if you put 70 into this formula here, you end up with this formula here, which is, you'll probably notice, a linear function. So it's like y equals mx plus c. So m, our slope, is 62 and our y-intercept is 4320, and we can see it is 4320 here. Now if you do exactly the same for 80 kilograms, because remember we were asked to draw a graph when W is equal to 80, so we do the same thing again. P is equal to 36 times W, in this case 80, plus 62H plus 1800. Now here we end up, when you do all of this, you should get 62h plus, in this case, 4680, 4680. So you get another linear function, and this time the y-intercept is 4680, so we could probably put that in here somewhere. Let's say put it in here, 4680. Now you'll notice as well that we've got a 62 as the coefficient of h. In other words, the slope is exactly the same for both of these. So your line will look like this. Your new function should look something like this, and this is w is equal to 80 kilograms. So now you draw this with a ruler. Obviously I've done it freehand, so you should be able to do it a lot straighter than this. But both these lines are parallel, so both I'll just write it in here, both lines are parallel, because we have the same slope here and here, just different y-intercepts. And that's it really for this particular question. So let's have a look at D then. Frida finds a second formula for power output. She sets the two formula equal, so we have them equal here. This gives the following identity where F is Frida's height in meters. So we have this here. Use this to write H in terms of W and F. Write H in terms of W and F. So this is really just a case of manipulating these numbers and letters to get H on its own. So we have 60W plus 80H minus 15F minus 1300 is equal to 36W plus 62H plus 1800. And what we've got to do now is just try getting H on its own. So let's do that. First thing I'm going to do actually is just get all these letters together. So we have W here, a H here, we have a H here, we have a number here, we have a number here. So let's just put them together. So I'm going to subtract 36W from both sides. So 60W minus 36. So 60 minus 36 is 24. So we'll end up with 24W here. Now we have an 80H plus 80H. We have a 62H here. So I'm going to subtract 62 from both sides. So that's 80 minus 62. That gives me 18. So plus 18H. We have a minus 15F. There isn't another F there, so we don't have to worry about that. And you know, I'm going to take this 1300 and bring it over to this side here. So we've got 1800. This time I'm going to add 1300 to both sides. That gives me 3100. Okay, now let's we've got to get this H on its own here. So I'm going to leave the 18H here. I'm going to take the 24W and it's over to the other side. It's going to be minus 24W. I'm going to take the 15F over, so that's going to become plus 15F, and then I've got plus 3100 as well. Next thing I've got to do is divide by 18. So I'm going to divide this by 18 to give me H. Divide this minus 24 by 18. That gives me 4 over 3. So I'm going to end up with minus 4 over 3W. The 15 over 18 will just be 15 over 18. Can't simplify that. And let's just see here, do we end up with 3100? Divide that by 18. That gives me 3100. 3100 divided by 18, it will simplify, I think. 3100 divided by 18, yes, let me just go back a little bit. It's 1550 over 9 here. Okay, so that seems to be it. I think that's all we were asked to do. Let's see. Use this to write H in terms of W and F. So this is H on this side, we got W and F on this side. We also have a number. Now we could put the plus first, just we don't like leading with a minus here, so you could switch these around, but effectively that's your answer there. So we could write it in here, I guess. This is what we have to do. So H is equal to minus 4 over 3 W plus 15 over 18 f plus 1550 over 9. Actually, I should have switched these around, but it doesn't really matter. This is your answer effectively anyway. Okay, so let's move on. Question 14 then. Now we have okay, so we have the first three terms of a sequence are term 1 is 6x plus 3, term 2 is is x squared minus 2x, term 3 is 4x squared plus 3x. Now fill in the following table to write each of the first differences in its simplest form in terms of x. Okay, so okay, they've started the first one for us here, so let's see. We have x squared minus 2x, that's this term here. So they're taking this term minus this term here. And notice they put this term here in brackets because this minus is going to change these signs in here. So let's just do that. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 6x plus 3. Minus 6x minus minus is plus. So that will give us x squared. Minus 2x minus 6x is minus 8x, and we have plus 3 as well. That's it really. That's our first difference using these two terms. Now these two terms, term 3 minus term 2. So term 3 is 4x squared plus 3x, and we've got to subtract x squared minus 2x, the second term 2 in other words. So let's do that. So that's equal to 4x squared plus 3x minus x squared minus minus is plus 2x. So that will give me 4x squared minus x squared, that's 3x squared. And then we've got a plus 3x plus 2x, so that's plus 5x. Okay, so we've got two different looking differences here, if you like, but let's just read on and see what we have to do next. Now, show that if the terms form a linear sequence, then this is true. So in other words, if these three terms here form a linear sequence, that must mean that the difference between these two terms must be equal to the difference between these two terms. So that means this here must be equal to this here. It doesn't look equal, but they're saying that it is. If it's a linear sequence anyway. So if it's linear, it means x. So if the terms form a linear sequence, that must mean then that x squared minus 8x plus 3 must be equal to 3x squared plus 5x. And they're saying that if it is linear, then we must end up with this thing here. So let's see, do we? We've got an x squared plus 3x. I'm going to bring everything over to the right hand side. So 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. Plus 5x, I've got to add 8x to both sides. So 8 and 5 plus 13. And then this plus 3, I must bring that over to this side and subtract 3 from both sides. So it becomes minus 3. So that's it really. We've shown that if the terms form a linear sequence, these two must be equal, and if they are, then this here is what we get, and then that's what they actually asked us to show. So we've done that. Okay, last part then. Solve the equation 2x squared plus 13x minus 3 is equal to 0. Give your answer correct to 3 decimal places. So this is a quadratic equation. 2x squared plus 13x minus 3 is equal to 0. So we've got to solve this. Now because they say here give your answer to 3 decimal places, we're probably not going to be able to do this by looking at it and drawing in our two brackets and trying to figure it out. We're going to have to use our formula, which is x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now in this particular case, A is 2, B is plus 13, and C is minus 3. So if we come over here, we'll just write that in minus B, so it's going to be minus 13 plus or minus the square root of B squared, so that's going to be 13 squared minus 4 times A, C. And then that's all over twice A. Okay, so let's do this. We got minus 13 plus or minus the square root of something over 4 here. Now, when you do this, let's see, we've got 13 squared, so that's 169. So that's, I'll do it here, 169. Now we've got minus times plus times minus. Minus times plus is minus, minus times minus is plus. And then 4 times 2, 8, 3 8s, 24. Okay, so next line then, we have x is equal to minus 13 plus or minus the square root of something over 4 here. So 169 plus 24, that's 193. Okay, now this here must mean then that x is equal to minus 13 plus square root 193 over 4, or x is equal to minus 13 minus the square root of 193 over 4. So again, this is just calculator work, so we got to work this out to 3 decimal places. Excuse me. Here we get 0.223, and here we get minus 6.723. So there are 2 answers, and really that's it for these questions.